Yeah. Good afternoon to all the students. So in the morning session we have discussed the introduction part to pointers, where we have discussed what a pointer is, why we require these pointers, the syntax related to pointers and various types of pointers. All these things we have discussed, right? So in this class we will just go through the slides, right, what we have learnt in the earlier class. We'll go through the slides and then we'll go through the pointer arithmetic, where we'll be discussing what are the valid arithmetic operations that we can perform on the pointers, right. We'll see it with a programming example also. So this is our agenda for today's session. So the definition of the pointer is, it is a reference to another variable where it is going to store the address of another variable, and these points represent the usages of these pointers, right. As I told that we can use these pointers inside a function as the reference parameter, which we have calling it as pass by reference or pass by address. Similarly, it is used to remember a particular member of a group, that is such an array, right. As I told that the programming part related to one dimensional array is very much easier. We can deal it with the indices, but when we go deep into the programming part, that means when we are dealing with the multi-dimensional arrays, we need to have the pointers such that we can write efficient and simple programs based on these multi-dimensional arrays. And similarly, we have already discussed that the pointers are closely bounded with the dynamic memory allocation. So without pointers there is no dynamic memory allocation. And similarly, one of the application of pointers is it is used in building complex data structures like stacks, queues, trees, graphs, linked lists. All these makes use of these pointers concept. That means they make use of the dynamic memory allocation, but indirectly they are making use of the pointers, right. So all these points we have discussed in the morning session. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. So we are again discussing the basics of the pointers. Pointers are variables that are allocated at addresses in the variables are allocated at addresses in the computer memory, and name of the variable is a reference to that memory address, and a pointer variable contains a representation of an address of another variable, right. So this is the variable v that is declared as an integer, and I am storing a value of 101 in this v, right. Since this is a declaration part, the memory will be allocated like this, 4 bytes of memory, and the value 101 is stored. Let us say that this base address is around 50, and the second statement, int star p is equal to address of v. This is also a declaration statement that declares the integer pointer. So p is a variable of type integer to pointer, integer pointer, right, and I am storing the address of v inside this. Since this is also a declaration part, memory will be allocated. As I said that all the pointers, irrespective of their category, they will make use of the same memory size. Every pointer will be occupying 4 bytes of memory. The reason is they are simply storing the addresses, whatever the address may be, whether it is the address of a integer, or whether it is an address of floating point, or it is an address of character or double. All the addresses remains the same, and hence the address that is stored will occupy the same memory, right. So for this reason all the pointers will occupy the same memory, which is equal to 4 bytes in this case, right. So the memory is allocated like this, and for that memory I am naming it as p, which is a pointer variable. Let us assume that this is created at 80. The base address of this p is 80. So when I assign the address of v to p, so the base address of v, which is 50, is stored inside this p. When I store 50 inside this P, I will make a pointer to point to the actual location of V. This is how the pointers are represented diagrammatically. This is for the understanding purpose, but there are no arrows and everything inside the actual memory locations, right? So for our understanding, we are diagrammatically representing the variable allocation, assigning the value to a variable, pointer declaration, and assigning an address to the pointer by this type of notation. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
And coming to the syntax part, the basic syntax or the generalized syntax for declaring an integer pointer is, it starts with a type followed by space followed by star and then the variable name, right? This type can be a fundamental data type or it can be the user defined data type also. So some of the examples are int star p. P is a pointer of type integer. Similarly, q is a variable of type floating pointer. R is a variable of type character pointer. And this is something different. Can anybody tell me what is this declaration? Int star ap of 5. Is it a pointer to an array ap consisting of 5 elements, or it is an array of 5 pointers?
Array of 5 pointers.
So forget about this one. Assume that there is no star operator here. So up to here we know that int ap of 5 means ap is the name of the array which stores 5 integer elements. But if I include the star mark here, so it is nothing but ap is an array of 5 elements and all the 5 elements are integer pointers. This is how you have to read. So ap is an array of 5 pointers to ints. Like this we have some complex notations in these pointers, right? And we have discussed the concept of address operator. When I want to access the address of a particular variable, there is a operator that is supported in the C programming language by which I can access the address of that particular variable. That is the address of operator, which is represented by an ampersand symbol, right? So the syntax is very simple, as I told that before. That means the variable name should be preceded with the ampersand operator or the address of operator. So int v, this is a simple declaration statement where I am declaring an integer variable called v, and this is also a declaration statement where I am declaring a pointer variable and p, and it is of type integer pointer, and this is also a declaration statement, but here I am declaring the an array of size 5 which is capable of storing 5 integer elements. And what about this one? Here I am giving the address of operator, address of v. That means I am accessing the memory location of integer variable v. In the similar manner, I can access the addresses of p also, right? So how can I get the address of this pointer? By making use of the address of operator. The preceding symbol should be the address of operator. So address of p means memory location of the pointer variable p. In the similar manner, you can get the addresses of the individual elements also of an array. So let us consider this example where I have declared an integer array a which is capable of holding 5 integer elements. So what will be the first element? A of 0. What will be the second element? A of 1. Similarly A of 2 and A of 3 is the fourth element, and A of 4 will be the last element, fifth element. So for each and every individual element I can get the address, right? For example, I want to get the address of A of 4. I should write that element A of 4, but I am going to access the address, therefore it should be preceded with a address of symbol. Similarly, if I want to access the address of a of 1, I write like this, and it should be enclosed within this parenthesis, and then I have to make the address of operator to be preceded for this a of 1, right? Like this you can get the address of any variable. You can get the address of a normal variable, you can get the address of a pointer variable, and similarly you can get the address of individual elements of an array also, right? And pointer initialization, this is very important. As I told that when you declare a pointer, it is mandatory that you should initialize the pointer with some valid address. In some cases you may not be available with the valid address, so in that scenario what you have to do is you have to initialize such pointer variables with a special address called as null value or null address, right? So whenever you assign the null value to a pointer, that means you want to say that the pointer points to a non-existing address. Actually the 0th address is taken by the operating system. So whenever you try to access the addresses that is kept with the operating system, it will raise an error, right? Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Right. So you can initialize a pointer variable to null, or you can use the address of operator to get the address of any variable. But remember that it is mandatory, and it is a very important point that you should always initialize the pointer with either the valid address, or you can initialize it with a null value. That is the point you have to remember here. Is it clear? Right. In the morning we have discussed this operator. This is called as value at operator, or in simple form we call it as an indirection operator. Actually it is called as an indirection operator, but in C programming language we can call it as the value at operator. It is value at operator, and in C++ we call it as a dereference operator also, right? Where ampersand is called as reference operator in C++, and this star operator is called as the dereference operator, right? So what is the use of this dereference operator means, or indirection operator means? By using address by using this reference operator we are getting the address of a variable, and by making use of this star we are getting the value of the variable, right? But this star should always be succeeded with a pointer variable only. You cannot give the indirection operator for the normal variables, right? For example, int a, this is my normal variable, that means a is a variable of type integer. I cannot give star a. There is no indirection operator that is applied to the normal variables. Remember that the indirection operator is always applied for the pointer variables only. So when I apply the indirection operator to the pointer variable, it tells the compiler that you have to take the value at that pointer. Let us take it with an example, right? The syntax is also very simple. You take the pointer variable and the star symbol should be preceded for this pointer variable, right? So as I told that the pointer variable contains the memory address, and to refer to the contents of that variable which is pointed by the pointer, we need to use the indirection operator, and the syntax is star followed by the pointer variable. So int v is equal to 101. Since this is a declaration statement, assume that at 100 base location the variable v is created and it is going to store the value 101, and int star p is equal to address of v. Since it is also a declaration, assume that at 200 location p is created, the pointer variable to integer is created, and it is storing the address of v. The address of v is nothing but 100, therefore 100 is stored here. When I store 100, I am indirectly pointing this pointer to point to the variable v. And here in this particular statement you can observe that printf percentile indirection operator p, where p is a pointer variable. Remember that you never use the indirection operator with the normal variables. Indirection operator should always be used with the pointer variables only. So when I make this type of statements, value at p, so value of p means something different. So you should observe these two differences, value of and value at. Value of means what is the value that is present inside the p. So the value of p means 100 will be the answer. But value at p means what is the value that is pointed out by this pointer. P is pointing to the 100 location. What is the value at 100? That is the meaning of value at. So that is the reason why we can also call this star as value at operator for our convenience. So what is the value at 100?
Not one, sir.
101, right? So the value at p means value at 100. Value at 100 is 101. So this is how you need to observe the differences between the ampersand symbol and the indirection operator. Right. So here is a simple pointer example we have. This is int a. Let us represent them with diagrammatically. So assume that a has been allocated memory, 4 bytes of memory, and the base address is 50, and the value that is stored inside this a is 3. Similarly, int b, assume that at 100 location the variable is created, and since I am not assigning any value to b, what is the value that is stored inside b? Anybody please respond.
Null.
What is that value it is stored here?
Null,
sir.
Null is a special value which should be used only for the pointer variables. Is b a
Some
pointer?
garbage value, sir.
Super, it is a garbage value. Why? Because when you don't initialize any variable and when you don't give the storage class for a particular variable, the default storage class which is auto will be given for this variable. So the default values for the automatic variables is the garbage. So garbage value will be stored here. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes, sir.
let us go with the third statement. This is first one, second one, third one. Just to understand the concept of pointers, I am just explaining these things. Int star p is equal to address of a. So assume that at 150 location the memory is allocated for the pointer variable p, and the value of the address of a is stored. What is the address of a? 50. Therefore we make a pointer to point to this a. Similarly, int star q is equal to p. Assume that at 200 base address the memory is allocated for q, where q is a pointer, integer pointer, and what is the value that is assigned here?
50, sir.
150, sir.
No.
50,
Int
sir.
star q is equal to p. What is the value of p?
50, sir.
What is the value of p?
50, sir.
50. 50 is correct, right? Value of is something different from the value at. Value of means what is the value present inside p. Value at means what is the value present at 50. Right? So you should observe the difference. That is the reason why I am explaining this concept, right? So int star q is equal to p. So what is the value of q now?
$50, sir.
50. Super, right? So when I assign 50 for this q, since it is a pointer, you point or you make a pointer to this location, 50th location, not to a. Of course the a is located at 50 only, but you should always say it in terms of addresses only. So this is, that means at this particular fourth statement we are having two pointers p and q pointing to a. right? So coming to the fifth statement, int r is equal to b. This is also a declaration. Assume that 250 is the base address for r, and what is that it is storing here in r? It is going to
100.
store the address of b. What is the address of b? It is 100. Now tell me the values. That means here it is going to point like this. Now printf percentile d a comma b. What is a and b?
A is for 3 and B is some
What is the value of a?
value of
3,
A is
sir.
3, sir.
It is 3.
3, sir.
3.
What is the value of b?
Garbage
Some
value.
garbage value.
Garbage value. Super, right? Now go to the next statement. Printf percentile d address, this is not address, value at p, value at q, and value at r. This is how we should read, right? So what is the value at p? Value at p means you can write like this, value at p. What is the value of p? It is nothing but value at 50. Can I call like this since p is equal to 50?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Now tell me what is value at 50?
1, sir.
3, sir.
3, sir.
Right? So star p is results in printing 3. What about star q? Star q is nothing but value at q.
Huh?
So it is nothing but value at, what is the value of q here? 50 only. So what is the value at 50? It is 3.
3.
So star
Yes,
p
sir.
and star q results in printing 3. What about star r?
Garbage value, sir.
Garbage
Sir.
value. Star r means value at r. It is equivalent to value at, what is r value?
100, sir.
100. So what is the value at 100? It is nothing but garbage. This is how you need to trace the program. Now look at this one. Q is equal to address of b. Now what happened? I am assigning the address of b to q. So erase this value of 50 and you store the address of b here. Right. So when I store 100 inside b, this particular link will be broken. And q is going to point to b itself. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Right. Right. Now we will see the statements. If p is equal to q, what is p? P means nothing but value of p. What is value of p? That means value which is present inside p. What is value of p? What is the value of p?
50, sir.
3,
50.
sir.
What is the value of q?
100, sir.
100. Are they equal? Is this equation
No, sir.
satisfied? No, right? So this
No,
will
sir.
not be printed. Now it will go to this statement. If q is equal to r, what is the value of q?
100, sir.
What is the value of r?
100, sir.
100, sir.
Therefore this will be printed. Next we will go and execute this one. If star p is equal to star q, that means value at p is equal to value at q. What is the value at p?
3, sir.
3, sir.
Super, 3. What is the value at q?
Garbage value.
Garbage value,
Garbage
sir.
value. Therefore this will not be executed since this condition fails. Right. Now value at q is equal to value at r. What is the value at q?
Garbage value, sir.
Garbage value, sir.
Garbage. Value at r.
Garbage
Garbage
value.
value, sir.
Garbage value. Right. Both are pointing to the same location. So this will be printed. Now value at p is equal to value at r. Value at p is
3,
3.
sir.
Value at
3,
r
sir.
is garbage.
Garbage.
It
Garbage,
is
sir.
failing, therefore this statement will not be printed. So out of these 5 statements, only 2 and 4 will be printed. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So these are called as reference parameters. As we have the concept of pass by value and pass by reference, right? The same thing we are going to discuss here. Whenever we want to make changes to a variable, even though we are passing that variable to another function, we can make changes only by passing the address. That means only by making use of pointers we can change the actual values of the variables, right? So this is a concept that is related to pass by reference, right? You can see here there is a function called change var. You forget about these lines. There is a function defined where the function name is change var, and what is the return type of this function?
Void, sir.
Void.
Written any
How many parameters it is accepting?
One parameter, sir.
One parameter. So let us put aside the definition of the function. Let us start our execution from the main, right? Why? Because the execution always starts with the main function. What is that it is doing here? Float x is equal to 5.0. So this is a declaration statement and also it is an initialization. Therefore 4 bytes of memory will be allocated and it is named as x, and I am initializing it with 5.0. And what is this statement called? What is this statement we call it as?
Function calls.
function call, sir.
Super. It is a function call. Therefore, what is the value that I am passing here?
X value, sir.
No, that is the
X
reason it is you should be very careful. The x
Address of-
variable is preceded with the ampersand symbol. Therefore, we are passing the address of x. Right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
We are passing the address of x. So, what is the address of x?
100, sir.
100. When we pass an address, what is that capable of storing the addresses?
Pointer.
Pointer.
Pointers.
Pointer, sir.
So what type of address I am passing here?
Float type, sir.
Float address, right? So I should declare a floating pointer. So float star cvar means here also the memory will be allocated, and assume that it is at the base address 200 and the name is given as cvar. So what is the value it is storing here?
Address of X, sir. 100.
Address of x, which is nothing but 100, right? See here. Now what is this he is doing? Value at cvar is equal to value at cvar plus 10.0. So what is value at cvar? Val at
100.
cvar is not 100. Be careful. I am calling it as value at cvar. What is the value of cvar?
5.0, sir.
5.0, sir.
Tell me the value of cvar.
5.0, sir.
5.0, sir.
Value of cvar.
200, sir.
No.
100.
200 is the address of cvar. But value of cvar means what is the value that is stored inside this cvar?
100, sir.
100.
sir.
Right. So value at cvar means it is equal to value at 100. So what is the value at 100?
5.0.
5.0. Therefore 5.0 is taken here plus 10.0. What is the result? 15.0. So this 15.0 where I am storing? I am storing at value at cvar. So what is value at cvar? It is value at 100. What is value at 100? 5.0. So you
5.0.
override this 5.0 with 15.0.
15.0.
Right. So once this portion is completed, the execution of the function body is completed, you come back again to the calling function and then you execute the remaining statements. So printf percentile .1f backslash and x. What is the value that is printed here?
15.0, sir.
It is printed as 15.0. Right. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
this is
sir.
how we are going to use the pointers to make the changes in the original value. So what is the original variable we have here? X. Right. Right. So you can observe here that when you make changes, what is this C var? Is it a formal parameter or actual parameter? What is C var? It is actual or formal parameter? Anybody please respond? Please tell me.
Formal parameter, sir.
It is formal parameter. Super. Right. So when you are making changes in the formal parameters, the changes that you make for the formal parameters are reflecting for the original values. So this is the advantage we get from the pointers. This is only possible while you pass the arguments using references or by using the addresses. So the advantage of pass by address is you can make changes in the formal parameters and then you can reflect those changes in the original values. Right. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now let us look at another example. Let us not use this star and whatever it may be. Now let us see this example, same example with pass by value. Previously I have used the pass by address where I am able to modify the actual variable value by making use of the formal parameters. Let us see whether this effect can be achieved with pass by value. So I start my execution with the main program, main function. So float x, again assume that at base address 100 x is allocated the memory and 5.0 is the value that is stored here. Now what is this statement? I am calling the function with x. Is x a normal variable or address of x? What is that I am passing here?
Normal variable, sir.
Normal variable.
Normal
sir.
variable. What variable type it is? Is it a integer or float?
Float type.
Float
Float,
value,
sir.
right? So I am throwing a floating point value, so I should have a corresponding floating point variable to catch hold of this particular floating point value. So 5.0 is passed here and that is where I am storing here. So when I come to the definition of this change var, this is a formal parameter declaration. So assume that 200 is there and this is C var and 5.0 is the value that is stored inside C var. Right. Now enter into the body of the function. It is saying that C var is equal to C var plus 10.0. What is C var here?
5.0, sir.
5.0 plus 10.0. What happens here? It is 15.0. But this 15.0 is stored in which variable?
C var, sir.
C var. Therefore, this 5.0 will be overwritten with 15.0. Up to here, everything is clear, right? But once
Yes,
the
sir.
body of the function is executed and once the control comes out of this function, since this C var is a local variable to this particular function, this will be dead. The C var is gone. It is nowhere available, right? So once you return to the calling function, that is the main function, if you execute this statement printf percentile dot 1f x, what is the value of x we have?
5.0, sir.
It is
5.0,
5.0. Therefore, it is going to print only 5.0. So, the pass by value is not making any modifications in the actual parameters. If you have, though you are making modifications in the formal parameters, right? So, the pointers concept or the pass by address concept is used whenever you want to make modifications in the actual parameters by changing or by making modifications in the formal parameters. So, whatever modifications you perform in the formal parameters, those will be reflected into the actual parameters because of the pointers concept only. Is it clear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So, coming to another important concept, morning we have missed this concept, which is pointer to pointer concept. We know what a pointer is. A pointer is a variable which can store the address of another variable. But pointer to pointer means it is a pointer which can store the address of another pointer. That is the meaning of pointer to pointer. Right. So, this is how we declare a pointer to pointer with 2 star marks inside the data type, in between the data type and the variable. Right. So, this is int v. Let us draw it diagrammatically. Assume that the base address is 100 and it is given a variable name 1 v and it is storing 101, and the second statement is it is allocated at location 200 and the name of the variable is p and it is storing the address of p. So, what is the value of p?
100, sir.
100. So, when I store 100, I am making a pointer to this location. Next, the third statement is pointer to a pointer, whatever it may be. The memory is allocated. Assume that the base address is 300, and since it is a pointer to pointer, I should store the address of another integer pointer. So, what is address of p?
200, sir.
200. So, I am pointing to this pointer. Right. Now, I want to print the value 101. So, I can print using three things. Either I can use the direct variable v, or I can use the indirection operator and use the pointer p, and I can use the indirection operators and make use of the pointer to pointer q. Right. So, what is v? What is the value of v?
101, sir.
101. What is the value at p? The value of p is 100, but value at p means value at 100. What is the value at 100?
101, sir.
101. Now look at this new syntax. Value at 100. So it can be written as value at q. I can write it as value at what is q? What is the value of q? 200.
200, sir.
So this I can write it as value at, what is the value at 200?
100, sir.
100. Now what is value at 100? 101.
101, sir.
Right. So this is how I can print the value of a particular variable. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So value at q means value at 200. Therefore value at 200 is 100. Again we have another value at 100 means it is 101. Right. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Right. See here. As I told that we have different types of pointers: integer pointer, floating pointer, character pointer, and double pointer. All these things we know, right? And the categories of pointers is based upon the address in which it is the type of address which it is going to store. Right. And I told that an integer pointer can store the address of another integer variable only. Similarly, the floating pointer variable can store the address of another floating point variable only. So what happens if you store the address, or if you have a mismatch in the pointer type and the variable type, so it will simply result in a warning. That's it, incompatibility warning, right? So what is this V? What is the type of V?
Integer type, sir.
Integer. What is this P? What is the type of P?
Float type, sir.
Floating, right? But I am trying to store the address of an integer variable V inside a floating pointer, which is not acceptable, but it will not result in an error. It will simply give you a warning, right? Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Right. In such cases, what you can do is you can make use of the casting. You can make use of the casting. So you can observe here that we have an integer variable V and we have a floating pointer P. I am storing the address of V, but this address is an address of an integer variable, but this time I am using an explicit typecasting. You know the concept of typecasting, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by typecasting?
Conversion of one data type
Conversion
to
of
another
one data type to another data type, right? Here I am converting the integer data type to the floating data type. So this is how we can avoid the warnings. We can remove the warnings, right? But it is not a good practice to assign the addresses of one variable type into another pointer types. This is not acceptable, right? It is not a good programming practice. It will not give any error. The C compiler will not tell that this is a error, you need to rectify it. It will just give a warning, and if you want to remove that warning, you can make use of the typecasting the pointers. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. In the morning we have discussed this generic pointer or void pointer, and void star is considered to be a general pointer, so no casting is needed to assign the address to a void star, right? So here V is an integer variable and G is a generic pointer, and I am assigning the address of V to be stored inside the generic pointer. Here we don't get any warning. Why? Because generic pointer means it can store the address of any other data type, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now we'll go through the some of the programming part, and we'll discuss the pointer arithmetic concept also. What is your next class?
No class, sir.
Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Word document. So in this particular small session, I am going to discuss the pointer arithmetic. After this, we'll go and discuss some of the programming parts related to this pointer arithmetic and pointers, right? So what do you mean by pointer arithmetic? We know arithmetic means, right? It is the operations that we are going to perform on some integer values or floating point values. So what do you mean by pointer arithmetic means? What are the valid operations that can be performed on the pointers? That is called as the pointer arithmetic, right? So tell me, what are the various categories of operators that are supported in C programming language? What are the categories of operators we have?
Can be
additional operators, bitwise operators.
So arithmetic plus star minus division modular division. Other than this, we have relational operators, and we have logical operators, and we have bitwise operators. Am I right or not?
Yes, sir.
So we have increment or decrement operators. We have assignment operators. So these are the various categories that are supported in the C programming language. Right. Similarly, we have ternary operator. Right. So these are all the valid operations that we can perform on integers or float or something else. Right. But there are lot of restrictions on the type of operations that we can perform on the pointers. Right. Not all these operators can be applied for this pointer arithmetic. You cannot apply all these operations on the pointers. So the only valid operations, listen carefully, only few operators are valid on this pointer. The first one is you can perform a valid addition operation, and you can perform a minus subtraction operation, and you can perform an increment operation, and you can perform a decrement operation. So these are the only valid operations that are supported for the pointers.
పెద్ద దాంట్లో అయితే ఏంటి అసలు నాకు అర్థం ఫోటో ఎందుకు వేసుకున్నాడు ఏమో దొరికిందని వేసుకున్నాడు మరి తెలుగు కదా ఏదైనా ఎక్కువ ప్రొఫైల్ తెలిసిన రిలేటెడ్ ప్రొఫైల్ వస్తాయి కదా, ప్రొఫైల్ పిక్ కనబడి ఉంటది కొత్తగా ఏదిలో ఉన్నాడు
Right. So these are the four operations that can be performed on the pointers. What are those operations? Addition, subtraction, increment and decrement. Other than this, we can also perform the relational operations also. So we can make use of less than, we can make use of less than or equal to, greater than or equal to and not equal to. Right. So these are the only valid operations we can perform on pointers. Right. And remember that the addition operation, listen carefully, but we will be discussing only these four pointers or four operations only. Right. We will discuss with one programming example also. Right. I am saying that addition is a valid operation on pointers. Similarly, subtraction is a valid operation on the pointers. Right. But the point here you have to remember is very important. You can perform the addition of an integer to a pointer, but not that pointer plus pointer. Right. For example, assume that I have two pointers ptr1 and ptr2. I cannot perform an operation called ptr1 plus ptr2. This is completely invalid. But you told that the valid operation is an addition, right? I am telling you that the addition of an integer value to the pointer is valid. So I can write like this: ptr1 plus 2 valid, ptr1 plus 20 valid, ptr1 or ptr2 plus 15, this is also valid. Like that you can add or you can perform an addition operation of the pointers with a valid integer values. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Similarly, you can perform the subtraction operations with a valid integer value only. ptr1 minus 2, ptr1 minus 3, like that you can perform. Right. But the addition of two pointers is not supported. May I know the reason? What is this ptr1 storing? It is storing an address. Am I right or not? What is this ptr2
Yes, sir.
storing? It is storing
Address, sir.
it is storing another address. So can I add one address to another address? Does it give any valid value?
No, sir.
No.
Addition
No,
of
sir.
two addresses does not give a valid value, right? Similarly, can I write like this, ptr1 star ptr2? Does it give any valid value?
No, sir.
No, right?
No, sir.
ptr1 division ptr2, will it give any valid value?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Now let us see, ptr1 minus ptr2, is this valid operation on pointers? Is this valid operation on
sir.
pointers?
No, sir.
Yes, it is a valid operation. This is the point you have to remember, right? For an example, let me give an example. Let us take an array of size 7. Assume that my ptr1 is pointing to this 1, element 1. That means ptr1 is storing the address of a of 1. Let us give the name as a. And assume that ptr2 is pointing to 5th or 6th address, 6th element. Now can I make like this, ptr2 minus ptr1?
Yes, sir.
Right. ptr2, for example, assume that the base address is 100. So what is the value of ptr1? Assume that a is a integer of type integer. Now tell me what is the value of ptr1?
104.
Super, it is correct only.
104.
104.
108, sir.
What is this one? It is 108. This is 112. This is 116. What is the value of ptr2? What is the value of ptr2?
120, sir.
120. Now tell me 120 minus 104. Actually saying that ptr2 minus ptr1 is not valid, but this type of not valid in the sense, don't take it as that this operation cannot be performed. This can be performed, but it does not give any good value, right? So when I write like this, ptr2 minus ptr1 by size of int, what is 120 minus 104? What is 120 minus 104?
16, sir.
16.
16, sir.
16 by 4.
4, sir.
4, sir.
4. So this particular formula of ptr2 minus ptr1 by size of integer, that means size of the name, the data type of the array, will give the number of elements that are present in between this ptr1 and ptr2, right? So in between ptr1 and ptr2 we have 4 elements, right? This is 1, this is 1, this is 1. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So the addition of two pointer variables is not a valid operation. The multiplication of two pointer variables is not valid. The division of two pointer variables is not valid. But the subtraction of one pointer from another pointer is valid operation, where that operation can be used to find the number of elements between the pointers, right? And remember, one important note you should remember in this context. The important point here is the pointer 1 and pointer 2 should point to the same array. In such case only this is valid, right? Assume that ptr1 is pointing to A and ptr2 is pointing to some location in B, which is an another integer array. then you cannot write it as ptr2 minus ptr1. This is perfectly invalid. Do you understand the concept?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So this ptr1 and ptr2, even though they are pointing to the same location, same array, this addition operation is not valid. Similarly, the multiplication and division is not valid, even though the ptr1, the two different pointers are pointing to the same array. But the subtraction of one pointer from another pointer is possible only if the two pointers are pointing to the same array. This is the important note you should remember. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Now, in this example, what is the value of ptr1 I have taken? What is the value of ptr1 here?
104, sir.
104. Now let us see what happens if I increment it to ptr1 plus plus. So since it is an increment, it is equivalent to ptr1 plus 1. Am I right or not?
Yes, sir.
So this ptr plus 1 is nothing but it is going to increment the value of ptr1 such that it points to the next location. What is the value of ptr1?
104, sir.
104. So 104 plus 1, is it 105 or 108?
108, sir.
It will be 108. Why? Because ptr plus 1 means 1 into the size of integer. So it is 104 plus 4, that is equal to 108. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now what is the value of ptr2 here in this example?
120, sir.
120. Now calculate ptr2 minus minus. This is equal to ptr2 minus 1. Am I right or not?
Sir.
So ptr2 is 120 minus 1. Is it 119 or 116?
116, sir.
So 120 minus 1 into the size of int, that is equal to 120 minus 4, that is equal to 116. So when you increment the pointer value, it is going to point to the next location or the next element in the array. And similarly, when you decrement the pointer value, it is going to locate to the previous element of the array. This is what you have to remember, right? Now let us go for another example. ptr1 is equal to 104 I have. Now tell me ptr1 plus 3. What is the value? It is 104 plus 3. Is it 107 or something else?
116, sir.
116.
Right, it is 104 plus 3 into size of int, which is equal to 12, that is equal to 1, 1 and 6. So when you add an integer value to a particular pointer, it is going to point to 3 locations which is ahead of this 104. So whatever pointer is pointing to this location, when I add 3, therefore it is going to point to the third element from that location. So 116, it is going to point to a of 4. Is it clear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Similarly, you tell me what is ptr2 minus 2. It is 120 minus 2 into 4, that is equal to
4.
120 minus
1.
8. What is the value?
8. 112, sir.
112. So when I decrement the value with a particular integer, it is going to point to the previous locations or previous elements. Since I am decrementing value with 2, it is going to point to the 2 locations ahead of it. So 120, it will point to 112. So 2 locations ahead of it, it will be pointing. So this is all about the
so
pointer
like-
arithmetic.
అవుతుందా?
Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So you have an idea of point arithmetic. The valid operations are addition, subtraction, increment, decrement, and relational operators. Let us see how this relational operator work. So if I write like this, if PTR2 is greater than PTR1, is it valid or not? What is the address of PTR2? What is the address that is stored in PTR2?
120, sir.
120. Greater than, what is the address in PTR1?
104, sir.
104. Is this condition true or false?
True, sir.
Right. So all these relational operators can be applied on these pointers, and remember that these pointers should point to the same array. In such conditions only you can apply this plus operator, you can apply this minus operator, and similarly increment and decrement also. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So now tell me, what are
Yes,
the valid
sir.
operations that can be performed on pointers? What are the valid operations on pointers?
Addition, subtraction, increment, decrement, and relational operations, sir.
Super. Addition means it is not related to addition of two pointers. Subtraction means it is not related to subtraction of two pointers. Right. Addition of an integer value to a pointer, subtraction of an integer value to a pointer. That is the point you have to remember. But subtraction can be performed on two pointers also, but those pointers should point to the same array. In such case, the subtraction of two pointers is also a valid operation. Right. If it is clear, we can just write a simple program and we can close the session. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we will be demonstrating this pointers concept in case of arrays only. So please concentrate. First we are going to declare an array, right? So int a of, let us take the size of array as 10, and let us initialize the value, initialize the array. You know the concept of initializing, right?
Yes, sir.
So what are the values that are stored inside this array A?
Integer values, sir.
Integer values. So what is A of 1?
20, sir.
20. A of 5?
60, sir.
Super, right. Let us declare a pointer. Since we are going to store the address of this integer array elements, I have to declare an integer pointer, p like this. Now I assign the address of A. Is it a valid statement? P is equal to A. Is it a valid statement?
Oh, no, sir.
Huh?
Address operator should be given, sir. Ampersand.
Right. Address operator should be given, but this is a valid statement. The reason is, while we declare the array, you might have studied that the name of the array stores the base address of the array. Right. So for example, assume that the base address of this array is 100. So the array name, what is the array name here?
A.
A. So the base address 100 is automatically assigned and it is stored inside the name of the variable A. This is the compiler that is going to perform this action automatically. So when you declare an array, remember that the base address of the array will be automatically stored inside the name of the array. So what does A consist of?
Base address.
Base address of the array A, right? Even though
Yes.
you write this as address of A, this is not a mistake, right? Even though you write it as A and address of A, both are correct only. This is possible only in case of arrays. But you cannot assign a normal variable to a pointer. You should use the address of operator, right? So this is the point which you need to know here. And let me print the addresses first. How can I print the address of A of 0? What is A of 0?
Sir.
What is A of 0?
10. Sir.
10, sir.
10, right?
10,
Now I
sir.
want to print the address. What is the format specifier I can use?
Ampersand. Sir. Oh, sorry.
No, format specifier for printing the addresses.
Percentage D, sir.
D is for integers, right? So either you can use the unsigned integer U or you can use the hexadecimal notation X also, right? Let us go with the hexadecimal notation. So where is the base address that is stored here? Where is the base address of the array stored?
P. Pointer piece.
No, let us go with the array name itself, right? As I told that
Yes.
when you declare an array, the base address is stored inside the array name. So can I write like this?
Yes, sir.
You will get some errors by making use of this ampersand x and ampersand, this is not ampersand, percentile x and percentile u, right? But it's not the case in all the compilers, right? So what is the other way of accessing the base address here? Basically, where is the base address stored in an array?
In its name, sir.
In its name, super, right? But here I have used a concept called P is equal to A, where I am assigning the address of A to the pointer variable P. So can I write like this? Is it valid?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. So what is the output we can get? Let us take backslash in here guys. See here, I am getting it as addresses are. So what is this notation here? EA950B30. Is it a hexadecimal notation or not?
Yes, sir. Hexadecimal.
Yes, sir.
Are the values of A and P equal or not?
Yes, sir. Equal,
Yes.
sir.
Why? Because the base address of the array, which is nothing but EA950B30, is stored inside the A automatically by the compiler, and externally what I am doing here is I am creating an integer pointer and I am storing the address of the base address of A in the pointer variable P. Therefore I have two base addresses. The base address is stored in two variables. One is inside the name of the array, automatically done by the compiler, and the second one is in the pointer variable which I have created. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Let us check
Yes,
your
sir.
doubt. Let us check your doubt. What happens when I put the address of operator? Both are same only,
Yes, sir.
right? For example, I want to access the address of the 20th element. So how can I access it? How can I access the address of 20? These are contiguous memory locations, right?
Yes, sir.
So what should be the address
Yes, sir.
of this 20? By looking at this one, what is the address? What is the address of next element, Amma?
FBA 16846.
846.
84, that's it. What is the third element address? It is 88. Right, it is 92. Like that, it will keep on incrementing, right? So now how can I assign the address of first element inside P? How can I access the first element? Tell me.
Indexes concept, sir.
Index concept, right? So I want to access this second element. So I can write it as A of 1. Am I right or not? See, sorry.
Yes.
So here. Can I write it like this?
Yes, sir.
But this is the value at A of 1. But now this is not my concept. I want to store the address of the first element. Right. So I have to use the address of operator. Is it correct or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now what will
Yes,
this
sir.
A print? What is
The
the
base
output of this
address.
statement? This is the base address. And what is the output of this statement?
Second element address. will
Super.
be
It is the
printed.
address of second element. Let us check whether it is correct or not. Right. Is it correct or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So you can observe
Yes,
here
sir.
that every time you run the program, the addresses are changing. Have you observed? Previously I have FB something like that.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Now I have E26276 something like that. If I run again, it is C2A 90050. So every time you run the program, the values or the memory addresses are going to change. Right, this is one important point you should observe. Right. Now let us check with the operators, valid operations. Let us change it with A only. Let us give it as A only. If P is equal to A means what is that I am doing here?
Giving the base address to it, sir.
Super. I am storing the base address of the array inside this P. Right. Now let us see whether this will work or not. Plus plus A and this is plus plus P. Right. Now tell me, will the program run or will it give any error or will it give any warning? Just an idea you should have. Right, okay, no problem. So this will raise an error. Why? Because here what is that we are doing in this particular printf statement? I am applying an increment operator on A. What is this A?
Base address, sir.
Array names.
It is the array name, but it stores the address, base address, right? So by taking
sir.
that concept that the array name stores the base address of the array, you cannot assume that it is a pointer, right? So for that reason you cannot apply the valid operators that can be applied on pointers to A, right? So this is not valid. So the pointer is, the compiler is going to automatically assign the base address of the array inside the array variable. That's it. Right. In order to access the next element, you cannot write a statement like plus plus A. Why? Because A is not a pointer to the array. A is the name of the array. That point you should remember. But is this the correct statement or not? Plus plus P.
Yes, sir.
It is a correct statement. Why? Because I am taking a pointer and I am assigning the base address of the array A for the P, and there you can have a pointer for this the first location. When I increment the pointer variable, it is going to point to the second location. Then I increment it, it is going to point to the third location. Like that, you can make this increment operation on the pointers only, but not on the name of the array, even though The array name is storing the address of the array. This is the important point you should remember. Do you understand this concept?
Yes, sir.
See
Yes,
here.
sir.
See here. You got an error. L value required as increment operand. This is not a valid operation. So let us remove this. Comment it. Now let us see whether our program will run or not. Let us print the base address using print. Right. So what is the base address of the array? It is D1 770.700. What is the next element address? What is the next element address? It is D1 770.704. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now let us see whether post increment will work or not. Let us write like this, P++. Can anybody tell me what is the output of this program? Will it get an error, or will it show an warning, or will it execute but it will give a wrong answer?
The output may change, sir. First it will print and then increment it, sir.
Right. So what will be the output? The
Both
answer is
of them will
correct.
print.
Yeah, both of them will be printing the same base address only. Let us check it out. See here, both P and P++ are printing the same addresses. The reason is, here I am using a post increment operation. I am using a post increment operation where the value of P is printed first and then it will be incremented. Right. Is it clear?
Yes.
So basically
sir.
the P is having the base address and it is printed and then it is incremented. Now if you try to print the value of P again,
బయటికి ఇందాక కనిపించిందిగా ఏ క్లాస్ నువ్వు
right, is it clear now? See, this P is printing the base address and this P++ is printing the base address and then incrementing. Therefore my P is pointing now to the second location. This is how you can play with the pointers. Is it do you understand this concept?
ఎస్ సార్
Yes, sir.
Now let us print the values also. Sorry. Now let us print the values also. How can I print the value using pointer?
Star P.
I can print it by using star P. Right. So let us check this program. Now is it clear? The increment operator.
ఎస్ సార్
Now I just want to demonstrate the decrement operator. So I want to make I want to assign the address of 70. How can I access the address of 70? First of all, you have to access the index of 70. What is the index of 70?
6, sir.
6, right? So I write like this and I assign like this. Now let us print the value. Let us demonstrate the decrement operator. Right, see here, the address of P is ending with 208 and the address of minus P is ending with 204. Right, 4 bytes are decreased. This is how you demonstrate the decrement operation. Now let us go with the addition operation, or the addition of integer to a pointer. Let us take the base address again. Now what is that I am going to do here? Let us take it as p plus 1. What is the output here? The base address starts with 8D0 and the next address, that means plus 1 is going to point to the next location, which is 4 bytes away from 8D0. That means it is going to print 8D4. Now let us take p plus 2. What is the value it is going to print?
Third location.
Right, so it is 8D0 and it will be 8D8, something like that. Right. Now what is the value of 5? P plus 5. What do you mean by p plus 5? Are you there?
Sixth one.
So p plus 5 is nothing but the base address plus 5 into 4, that is 20. So whatever the base address is there, it is going to add 20 for the base address. Right. So F0 you add 20 for this, you will get it as 0, 4. Right. Let us take one more example. Let us take it as 20. Will it work or will it give any error? Will it work or will it give any error? Anybody please respond. If you know, you please answer. Otherwise, you tell me that you don't know the answer.
It might be not correct.
It will work. So you may get a doubt that we have only 10 elements in the array, sir, but you are trying to access that 20th element or 20th element location, right? So this is also valid. Let us check. So what is the base address? It is 960 and 20 plus p plus 20 means it is p plus 20 into 4, that is p plus 80. That means for 60 you add 80, that is 140 you will get, right? So this is the answer you will get. So the reason for this is you might have studied the concept that arrays does not have boundary check condition. Arrays does not support boundary checking. So even though you are trying to access the elements or the locations outside the boundary of this array, it is valid, right? So this is one of the disadvantages of arrays in the C programming language. So it does not have boundary checking. So if you try to access the elements or the addresses outside the array boundary, it will not show any error, it will not show any warning, nothing will be shown. You can simply access it, that's it. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is one important point. Let me demonstrate the subtraction operation also, then we will close the session, right? Let us take the last element address. Now I am going to use p minus 1. Let us see what it is printing. So what is the last address I have? It is 3D4. Last 3 digits is 3D4. So if I decrement it by 1, that means I am decrementing it with 4 bytes. Therefore it is going to locate to the previous element. Similarly, let us take p minus 2. So the last address, the last element's address is 734. So minus 2 means 734 minus 2 into 4, that is 734 minus 8. You will get it as 7 to C. Right. So these are the valid operations. We have demonstrated the programming example on increment, pre-increment, post-increment, and we have demonstrated our program using the decrement operation. We have used the addition of integer values, and we have used the subtraction of integer from the pointers. All this has been demonstrated. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Right. So you can try the remaining operation. The only operation that I have left for you is the difference of the 2 pointers. That means the subtraction of 2 pointers. And remember, when you are subtracting 2 pointers, the 2 pointers should always point to the same array with different locations. Right. So you try that program, and another program you can try is the relational operations, whether you can perform the relational operations program or not. Is it right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So now tell me, so this is end of today's session, and this is the end of the data structures class also. Are there any topics to be covered here?